Sounds right.
There we go. I'm muted. I'm sorry. Welcome, everybody, to another messed up episode of Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Where
We're playing both sides is always a thing.
Yes, it is indeed. So today's episode is number 12, I believe, and it's called Conflict of Interest. So I guess we'll find out how things play out, which I'm really interested to find out myself, actually. This is a really interesting situation. So, who'd care to give a recap of what happened?
You would.
Nope. I don't want to give away too many clues. I like that idea. So.
Be original.
Be original?
Yeah.
All right. I will list a bare minimum stuff of what happened last time, but I'm not going to go over the whole story. So last time, these guys had a seance, learned a little bit about their poltergeist problem, but not very much. They then were invited to meet up with at least a couple of guilds, of which they accepted both invitations, and it's possible that they may have an interest in each other.
We're like matchmaking with the guilds. They don't know it yet.
Yeah. They got an invitation from one at, what was it, the Yawning Portal, from the Zentarum for one quest, which, let's bring up the quest log here. There we go. And the
Shady McShady Pants
from Davil and his bodyguard Yagra, and then you guys went to the opera via Rainer buying you guys opera tickets to meet the Harper contact Mert, and tried to get a little bit of information there. And there is a small summary here on the top. I don't know if people can read that if they're watching on mobile devices. It is not going to be legible, but basically Mert said one of the drays, which is basically a horse that pulls the transportation carriages through the city, working in the city, is pulled by a talking mare, or sorry, not the horse, the carriage itself. One of the drays walking in the city is pulled by a talking mare, which is a female horse. Yes? Okay. Nobody's correcting me, so I'm saying yes. Named Maxine. Even more. Locate her, find out if she's learned the identity of any Zent operatives, and if so, determine their whereabouts. And that pays 100 gold pieces, assuming that their information pays off, or is accurate or useful. Then from the Zentarum, they were offered to stop a murderer, basically. So someone is killing elf and half-elf sailors in the dock ward, of which they're becoming more and more frequent visitors of. 3 dead so far, each one decapitated by a blade in the dead of night. Look into it. Methinks the City Watch could use a little help, as employed by Davil. And that pays up to 200 gold pieces, depending upon the results of their investigations on which. So if it leads to the arrest and or capture or killing of the murderer or murderers, then I would imagine it would most likely pay off the high end, whether they be caught or otherwise. But yeah, could be considerably less depending upon if they just say couldn't find anything, if anything. So there you go. Let's do introductions. We'll start off in the top left corner there with Kashka.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kashka. I'm playing Grifola, a deep gnome warlock.
And what is the reason for you to be in Waterdeep?
I'm supposed to be my forgotten about cousin. Serious note. I'm supposed to be trying to find him. But yeah, I may have gotten slightly sidetracked by ghosts and money.
Well,
basically,
yeah, the fact that you've been homeless for some time has had something to do with that too. So
yeah.
All right, so moving a little bit off to the side, we've got Lissa and Mr. Monkey.
Hold on, we have an airplane flying over.
All right, next to them we have Robin. So Robin, why don't you go while they've got their airplane?
Fernriker, Human Ranger, also the medic, and the guy who's a double agent.
And he's been to Waterdeep before and actually has a few contacts here. So.
Hold on.
All right, and then we'll come back to Alyssa and Mr. Monkey since the airplane is done and the dog has started.
I am. Okay, sorry about that. I am Natea Cloudbane, and I am a Azamar Paladin, and I am apparently not spec'd for spirits. So, yeah, I've just been wondering about defending poor defenseless creatures and people. And then I have a big giant cat that follows me, which is this one.
Yes. And I'm Smoke on the Horizon, a Tabaxi rogue that was picked up by a fur ship to get from Chult to the Sword Coast. Taught Gnomish by Bebius, like servo something, and Captain Darnold, which I ended up blowing up their ship, and they may or may not have survived. I finished my backstory. I just don't know if you've been sent it yet.
Nice.
It's good. It's good. I really like that. It's gonna help. It's gonna help. All right. So, when last we left off, you guys were, as I already did a general recap. You finished, or I should say more specifically, Robin's character finished negotiating to accept the contract and the potential guild entrance of the Harpers if they can get this job done. You guys all headed back to the tavern, or Troll Skull Manor as it is. It's not necessarily a tavern at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. As that was a late evening opera, and you guys had all picked up some silvered equipment that you used some silver bars to procure said items from the local smithy. And I believe that was pretty much it. You guys left off, and it was night, and you were gonna go to sleep, if I'm not mistaken, unless you guys had other activities that you plan on doing.
I was going to go to the dock.
Ah, you were going to go straight to the dock. Okay. In search of this elf and or half-elf killer.
Murder.
Is anybody joining, or is he going by himself? I don't think I need to mention how dangerous it is that he's being left alone if he goes by himself.
Dangerous for everyone else.
Yes.
Exactly. Go stabby stab.
That's right.
I guess I would follow, seeing how, and just let everybody know we need to walk lightly, considering we're now, hired by both of these people.
Well, here's the thing. You guys finishing up with the opera, it'd be a little after 11 p.m. You know that it usually happens in the dead of night, as it is. So with it being so late, most of the townsfolk that clutter the streets are not going to be basically blocking your guys' path. So you can make good time walking back down into the dock ward, which is actually almost the entire, like 2/3 of the city. Let's go to the map if we can. Here we go. And I'm gonna need to zoom out. Oh, Gary. Oh, Gary. Every time I come over here, Gary's in there.
Missed pet opportunities.
So I believe you guys are up somewhere in the north ward. Or no, you're in the castle ward, I think, which is kind of like the northwest area. And oh no, middle. You're right in the middle. And the dock ward is south. So it would probably take you about an hour to get down there normally. Or you could procure yourself one of the local drays and get down there a little quicker, but it would cost you a little bit of coin.
We still in our fancy duds?
You are in your fancy duds. And in
Wait,
fact,
so
you're-
we're armed, defenseless, and we're going to the pier.
what's that?
So we're defenseless and we're going down to the pier.
Well, it's entirely up to you
Hold on.
guys, because, yeah, I mean, the only one that really has a concealable weapon was probably going to be either someone with magic or someone with a whole bunch of small daggers. Someone walking into the opera with a long bow and a large silvered mace probably would have caught a little bit of attention. So I'm assuming that those were left back at the manor.
Also armor.
Yep, that too. So you could probably make it up to the manor and back down to the dock ward. And you'd still probably make really good time. You'd probably take about a half hour, 45 minutes to get down there, as opposed to about the 20 to get down there normally.
Yeah, no, we're get armor first. Always armor first.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're gonna equip yourselves. Rats. Okay. It's like this could get
trying to do?
this could get really interesting. Okay.
In at the deep end, sure.
So let's do a bit of a zoom in here. All right, so are you guys taking one of the local drays then? There are several around the opera house taking people back to different places because they expected a bit of a crowd to let out at this time. Of course, most of them are like specific to like people that are of noble friends or something like that, or just rich folk that have their own. But there are several like basically taxis. So
Yeah, we'll take a cab.
okay, what are you doing to take a cab? You can do that if you want. Seriously, are you gonna whistle?
Sure.
You just got out of the opera house in your fancy duds. You're gonna whistle for the,
Yeah.
the dray that's like 20 feet in front of you there. Okay.
Oh,
I said they're all parked. It's like, imagine if you're going to, like in modern day, if you're going to the airport and there's like lines of taxi cabs. It's more or less like that, but you've got like horse-drawn carriages instead.
Or is there a difference between which ones are owned by nobles versus which one are just kind of waiting for anyone?
It's pretty obvious.
The Uber sign.
I'm just gonna walk over, start walking to one, and kind of hail the little driver guy and be like, hey, we need a ride somewhere.
Says you need a bit of a ride.
a whole one would be preferred.
I can offer that.
I keep getting the scene from Tootsie in my head. Taxi, taxi, taxi!
Where you be heading? And how many in your group here? And he counts you up. All right. Is it 4 of you then?
3.5. It's 3.5.
Wait, do you charge per person?
He says, I just wanted to make sure that I had enough space in here.
Okay, all right.
If you're sitting out up front with me, then it does cost a bit extra, because I'm not used to driving with somebody sitting next to me.
I think I'll pass that on.
Right, that's why I counted so you can ride inside. But anyway, what can I get you? Where to?
Joel's Manor? Where that's located, God.
Can you be more specific?
Does anyone remember where exactly this is in the town?
Oh my god.
Did I bring you guys over? I didn't bring you guys
No.
over. Let's bring you over. There you go.
That helps.
Just a little bit.
Right, that would be over in the North Ward on... Right, isn't it on like Trollskull Way or something? Trollskull Alley? Over
Yes,
by
it is. This is why I'm like, really? All right, come on.
Windbourne Way.
He says, I can take you to Troll Skull Alley. That be it then.
Aye.
Says, all right, 2 bits. And he holds his hands out.
What a bit.
Oh, sorry, nibs. 2 nibs.
That makes more sense. Cover pieces.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Does anyone have copper on them?
Yes, we have some. I'll give him his 2 pieces.
All right. And then you guys can jump in, and he'll start taking you up to Troll Skull Alley. You'll be going along the high road, more or less, just taking the main thoroughfare. There's not a lot of traffic there. In fact, most of the traffic that there is tends to be going in the same direction for the most part. People are not heading in the direction of the dock ward, per se. Needless to say, you probably could have gone very quickly to the dock ward had you head straight down. But you guys arrive
Very
to
quickly
Troll
to our
Skull.
death.
What's
Yes.
it?
Is it very quickly to our deaths?
Yeah.
Yes.
Whatever. You just gotta talk your way out. You're fine.
I'll tell the driver to wait. We'll be right back.
All right. Am I taking you somewhere else then?
Yeah, a couple of us are going to head to the docks.
I think all of us are.
Down to the dock wards.
Aye.
He says that would be an extra 4 bits.
Okay. Well, keep the horse running.
He says, I'll wait for you. Don't take too long then.
I guess we're heading in to get our stuff.
Yep.
Mm.
Nothing really fantastic happening there. Your stuff's all where you left it. You're there. Get back in. Head back down.
Hey, we can go sit and mess with our stuff.
Is anybody... I'm assuming you all changed your clothes, or did a certain ranger human...
Fancy clothes underneath.
Are you wearing your fancies then?
Yes, I'm wearing the fancies and the scale mail over it.
Scale mail over your pants. They are no longer
Like the bow
fancies.
tie. The scale.
Yeah, with ruffles hanging out and
Gold
stuff.
belt. Smells like
Out of his cuffs, he's got the ruffle sleeve.
And you should have had it silvered, man. So
So
Then
fancy.
you look like a vampire.
oh gosh, maybe that's the effect he was going
Douse you
for.
in glitter and you'll be good to go.
Yeah. All right. So you guys get in. Who's paying the driver?
I guess we are again.
I've got a couple of nibs I can chuck in.
remind me to go and change these coins later.
There we go. I donate 2 nibs.
Okay. So pretty much, guy takes you down the, I believe it's down the high road again, and then down Snail Street. You do get a little bit of a curve there at the beginning, but then you end up right in the middle where it says Dock Ward. And he says, well, we're in the heart of the Dock Ward, so have a good night. And he's kind of like looking over his shoulders and stuff, and he's like, be safe. And he just kind of tells the pony to go, and they start trotting off.
So where are we? Can you point to where we are?
Right
On the
where
map?
Robin's marker is.
Oh, okay. So like right there.
Yep.
Gotcha.
I had to scroll down to figure out where the dock was myself.
Okay. Let's split up and search for clues. I recommend we go down Gut Alley first of all. Or 3 daggers. Both of those sound like murder locations.
Perfect. Sounds like a good place to look.
Well, I don't know if you guys recall your conversation with Davil or not.
Clearly not.
Apparently not. He recommended that you stick to the water.
Okay.
Did he actually say that?
You guys
Yes,
kept
I
asking
kept
him for
asking him for
specifics and beating the specifics that he had out of him, and finally you guys came up with that, and then you decided to go to Gut Alley instead. So.
Come on, can you blame us, really?
Yes, there's Daggers Alley right there next to Gut Alley, and I would
Yeah,
imagine that the
that's what I thought we
Stabby
could do
Tabby would
indeed.
want to go to Daggers Alley.
Wait, where's Dagger's Alley?
Right there.
There's 3 daggers alley.
I see.
I would just say, I said, no, I think we should go down to the actual docks, like down here in Dock Street area, Fish Street, something like that. See what we can find.
All right. Well,
Clearly, we can find a tavern or some rundown place where sailors hang out, and they tend to talk a lot when they're.
So
I'm gonna send Nell up almost immediately as soon as nobody's in view.
that takes all of like 30 seconds for the
Yeah.
driver to get out of view.
So I send Nell up so that she's up above the roof
Mhm.
tops, looking down, making sure that we're not gonna get sniped or anything.
Okay. And there are people around. I mean, it's like midnight at this point, maybe slightly after. There are people around, like people walking home, or they've had a few and they're, palling around and stuff. So there are some people down the streets. It's just that there aren't many. So there you go. And I don't know where you guys would like to start. Or end, for that matter.
Let's go to the intersection of Odd Street and Dock Street.
Odd Street and Dock Street. I see Dock Street here.
I see it. It's right in front of us.
Oh, that runs along the... Oh, right there, Odd Street. Okay. Okay. Robin, you want to move your character over there? Can I make you smaller? Yes, I can. Yeah. There we go. That's a little bit nicer. Itty bitty Robin. Right on Odd Street. How appropriate. So, you guys are now over there at the Dock Street. And you can see that there are lots of boats docked for the evening. There doesn't seem to be any activity per se on the on the docks themselves. There are very few people around. There are a few pubs that seem to have some people going in and out that are kind of lining. Let's see if I can actually get the this thing. Can you guys see the arrow that I'm drawing? Okay, so along this area here, basically Dock Street, there are people that are more or less just kind of like taking it easy for the night. They're not working out on the different like docks and stuff at the moment. They seem to be just like going into, there's a few different like little what do you call it, like a cafe type thing, but it's more just run down. They've got some food shops and some ale and stuff available, more or less just pubs, I guess. Cafe, yeah, just a bunch of pubs lining the area there, a few warehouses and different stuff like that, but there are a few dotting the coast.
Well, let's start heading north and find a place to get some fish and chips and some information.
Yep. And you'll actually find people that have like little carts and stuff up and down the streets that one of them will have like a larger cart and they will be selling fish and chips. And you can smell it from a good distance off. You can smell the malt vinegar and some of the fried potato, and actually makes me a bit hungry.
Same.
So let's have everybody make perception checks.
That's Smokes.
I kind of figured. That's more appropriate for Natea. It's all right. That's why you two pal together, because you complement each other well. He gets stabbed and stabs others and sees them, and you heal him and shield him.
Offensive defense.
Yeah, more or less, yeah. So, I'm gonna say.
It smells so bad down here.
Hey, at least it's not me.
Kashka, I need you to make another perception check for your familiar.
Okie doke. One moment.
And it'll be at advantage. Boy, he is shouty. He's got food right now, by the way.
I could tell you what he's shouting, but I don't think you want me to tell you on stream.
All right. Oh, nice. Okay. So, I would say that you see a lot of people, more or less just like, because this is kind of like a group role. You guys are sticking together. You're trying to somewhat blend in and not draw too much attention. I'm assuming you're like walking up to the chippy and getting some food or whatnot. If you guys are partaking, because you probably haven't had much for dinner at this point, then it'll just cost you like a copper for some of this. That's it, or whatever it is, the if you want it.
Becker can't eat because he can't do money.
Yeah, I got sons and dragons. I got no nibs.
Well then, you could
change that.
just give the chippy a son and make his evening. Just do it.
Can you break this, which is more than you'll ever see in your whole life?
Yeah, I'll just
Out of town.
yeah, I'll just pay the nib for everybody's food.
Okay.
Thanks. I'll pay you back later.
Meow indeed. All right. So as a group, more or less, you guys just are not seeing any suspicion. It looks like it's still, even though it's after midnight, it still looks like it's a bit early. You're kind of getting the feeling that Dock Street or the Dock Ward area is most likely more dead of night, around probably when the pubs close, and everybody's like stumbling home or something like that, and then so probably around. Usually the pubs you guys probably would have picked up, or at least Robin's character, which my screen just blanked out, so I don't even have his name. There we go. Vern. Would probably know that pubs typically close around 2 a.m. So you guys can most likely, actually, let's have everybody roll intelligence checks. And also, Kashka, your Raven didn't find anything of suspicion besides normal weird stuff humans do in the area. Like, looks like somebody might be like dealing something in some alley over there, but there's nothing.
Yeah. No, I'm just gonna she's just gonna stay up, kind of, occasionally finding like a chimney stack to perch on or something like that, but gonna stay generally kind of swooping around, or just
Okay.
kind of gliding around the area.
Okay.
I just realized my character has the lowest intelligence.
That's why you employ a network.
It's also part of the reason why you don't let him go and get quests.
All right, so I'm assuming that the first roll, anytime that I have everybody go, is always going to be Mr. Monkey. Is that cool?
Yeah, usually it's the first one, yeah.
Awesome. All right, standards have been set. So with that, Mr. Monkey, or Smoke in this case, would probably you'd probably feel that you're not really going to see much action until after 2 a.m. at the earliest, most likely around 3, maybe as late as 4. That's what your gut's telling you right there. Everybody else, you're pretty much just kind of looking around like, are you a murderer? Are you a murderer? You actually haven't seen any elves or half-elves in the area. I will say that with the perceptions that you guys had. It tends to be primarily human, dwarven. One of you might have actually seen like a tiefling or half-dragon, but...
And if only there was some way that we could disguise one of us. To do a little, kind of baiting action.
If only.
Sorry, my ears are round, not pointy.
Am I able to try tracking for an elf? Just randomly.
How would you track for an elf? Are you like looking for ear-shaped footprints on the, like footprints to have little pointy ears on them or something?
Look at my features and traits.
All right. Hold on. You could click it and put it in chat, and it would make things easier for me.
It might.
Let's see here. Where are you?
Of course, elven ships do have a distinctive look, so if we look at the ships, we might be able to tell which one is elven.
There you go.
I'm thinking maybe it'd be good to actually. I wonder if we could sneak onto one of the ships and climb up in the crow's nest or something like that to get a good perspective.
There aren't many very large barge ships that would have something like that. They're mostly fishing vessels. But of the couple that are like that, they actually have guards posted out on them, and those are mostly towards the north end of the dock street. All right, beginning first, you have significant experience studying, tracking, hunting, and even talking to a certain type of enemy. Choose a
Wait,
type
your
of...
favorite enemy
Elf
is elf?
or-
Your favorite enemy is elf. That is perfect.
Hey,
You're the murderer.
I'm about
Found the killer. It's that guy.
Well, he did accept the other quest.
I will turn you in for cash.
Even talking to a certain type. Okay. So, yeah. Studying, tracking, hunting, and even talking to a certain type of enemy. It's true, and nothing that you're seeing seems to let on that there have been any elves in the area, but you're not entirely sure because it's a dock, and it's mostly inhabited with humans and dwarves. More or less, you'd know that there would be elves and whatnot here if you either, one, talk to people, or you started looking in each of the different buildings or something like that. But the people you're seeing out on the streets do not resemble those.
I had to try.
I'll keep that in mind, though. That is definitely worth mentioning. Thank you. Don't be afraid to mention it again. Just not right away.
My favorite enemy is elf.
Hey, I am a very good bounty hunter in terms of elves. And
Very racist.
I'm kind of afraid now.
why do you think I could talk Elvish?
Oh, so maybe we could like stick some pointy ears on you, and if you just, start conversing in Elvish, then
I
you
don't
could be
think my
bait.
fancy clothes
Totally
under
be
skill
bait.
roll helps you.
I feel like you could be bait.
I like that plan.
With the ruffles, he already looks a little bit like bait in general, being in the dock ward. You might get an occasional look, like, what is going on with that? Because it's, yeah.
I just start saying, "Oh, he's an elf. That's why he dresses like."
Are you interested? Just a couple of nibs.
Like I said, just a couple looks. It's not like people are walking up and saying that to you guys. So what is it that you wanted to do next?
So we don't see like distinctly Elvish ships at all, or any with flags, markings.
Nope, nothing that seems to resemble that. I mean, you're pretty much just kind of, I would say, I've got the right thing on here. You would have covered probably about like the first top half, just walking up and down here, getting some fish and chips. So you guys have something to munch on while you're looking indiscriminate. You probably still have the other half to go in order to, at least finish off the rest of it. But in the first pass, or the first half, excuse me, you haven't found anything out of the ordinary. But you would probably expect to see sun elves up there at least.
Yeah, I'd say we head down like this way where the ping is, because considering not far from there is where when we originally came here is where we saw those merchants.
Okay. All right. So, Robin, would you mind moving the P? Actually, I could do that. You got it. All right. There we go. So you moved on down, and as you guys progress on, let's do another perception, because it's been about, I don't know, half an hour that you guys have been kind of wandering around so far. Let's do another one for the next half hour. 22, that's it? Nice. Just waiting for the nat 20 at this point.
Well, someone did get a nat 20 if they had advantage.
Kashka, don't forget to roll for your Raven as well. Okay. It's alright, your Raven is more focused on keeping you protected than looking for any kind of elves or half elves.
Been
Or
distracted by chips that have been,
that
just...
too. You keep on like eating chips, and your Raven's like. Okay. All right. So, with that, you guys do notice that there actually are some elven variety the further south you go, you start seeing some elves. They may be elf-like, but they're not your traditional sun elf, as one is called. You might see a couple dark elves, but they tend to be just kind of staying out of plain sight because they're not usually well received. And actually, I would say all of you probably saw one of them in a doorway, saw you guys all kind of like look at him, and he just kind of went and just like walked back into the door. Because he's
Pretty
like,
sure
I
it's
shouldn't
been-
be seen. You know, he's like, I shouldn't be out walking out like this.
Pretty
Having
sure it's
all.
also part of the fluffy scale mill guy.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. You guys aren't
That's
exactly.
where I'm heading.
Well, the door closed, and it looked like it's a residence.
Okay,
Give it a
cat.
polite knock.
What's that? A polite knock?
Excuse me, sir. Would you mind being our bait for the evening?
No, nobody answers.
Hello.
Make a perception check. Smoke. Okay. You hear what sounds like a door closing farther back in the house through the door.
They're going out the
He
back.
may have what? Yep.
Sorry.
They
I
might
didn't
think
hear
of
that.
immigration, or they know that the human hates them.
What's that?
They might think of immigration, or they know that the human hates them.
Well, in general, dark elves are not normally, well, not normally seen around here. If they are, it's very rare, and they've got a lot of hate coming their way. So,
I can't point to my left, even though I see Kashka on my left, because between me and Kashka is the monkeys.
so
All right, I guess I go around the back.
it's a long line of terraced housing, so you'll have to go around the entire block, which is going to be about 5 houses to get to the end.
Yeah, deal with that. Did they lock the door?
You're just trying the handle?
Yes.
Yes, the door is latched. Or at least the door handle doesn't turn. It feels like it's probably locked.
Excuse me, sir. I think you dropped your wallet. Pile of gold.
You guys wonder why he just disappeared.
Well, I guess I'll get past that little wall.
Oh, we're breaking and entering now.
Oh, you're going to try picking the lock? Okay.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Go ahead and roll for it.
Wait, so hang on. There wasn't any way to get around the back?
You
Can I
could. You
still-
could walk around, but it was going to be at least 5 houses to get around the corner because it's terraced housing.
Can I have Nell go like up and over?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
So I would say you guys are actually, when you saw him, it would be right. Let's point with the pointer. Right about here. And to go around, since you guys came from this way, you know that there's quite a ways to go. You'd probably want to head around this way would be your guess.
I can't tell if there's an empty area here, because there's a word in the way.
Don't worry about it. So I'm just telling you what you guys see. You're not currently looking down from above. You know, right now you're in front of terraced housing. So you've got...
There's a road here.
It's
There's a
true.
possibility.
It's true. But you also know that that's, further away in a different direction. Because you already came from that direction. You didn't come from this way. Or from this way. So that's what I'm basing it on. Anyway. You did your thieves tools check. Oh, that's good. Wow. Okay. So are you trying to do this stealthily? Because there's 4 of you standing at the front door, and suddenly the 6.5 foot cat bends down in front of the door and starts doing this. What are you guys doing? And he pulls out the thieves tool.
I'm walking off. I'm like, nope. Nope. I was like, he clearly doesn't want to talk to nobody. I'm out. I'm just gonna start walking.
I start walking to see the next yeah, go to the road over there.
And Kashka?
Dude, we're out in the open. I'm like elbow smoke, like, dude, everyone can see what you're doing.
He's currently like you're currently being obscured by a sort of Nablin.
I'm like, oh, look at this. Trying to hide
Oh, so
you.
you're gonna do it stealthily? Okay, all right. So, so you actually what you're gonna do here is, as the others are like, no, I'm throwing my hands up. They start walking away. She's like tugging at you, like, are you crazy? There's two guys right there. You like kind of turn at that. You've already got the tools out, and this is what everybody was like up in arms about. And you're like, what? And you just kind of go, the door, it's open, and you reach over, and it actually is. It turned out that it just kind of stuck, and you had it proper, and the door just kind of like opens up. You're like, oh, hey, there you go. So the door is ever so slightly ajar at this moment, and two of you are walking away.
So
They would not have seen that, by the way.
I just kind of stick my head in the door. Hey, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to find out who is hurting you.
You have dark vision, right? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So it looks like it's just an empty residence. There's no sound. You don't see anybody. You don't hear any response.
Has Nell seen anybody exiting?
Ah. What is your raven's name again?
No.
No. Excuse me. Pardon me. Sorry about that. So Nell flies over the top, and is just kind of like flew over and kind of landed, I will say, on maybe this house here, looking for somebody to exit on this side, and nobody comes out.
Okay. Hello, we seek your assistance in a murder investigation.
Before I find out who hates elves besides the guy in our party.
Don't mention that.
I don't hate elves. It's just my job.
It's just
your job to kill
Wow.
elves. Sort of like Custer's job to
Just
kill
pulling in
Indians.
some money.
Until you come up with a backstory, it's whatever we make it. So,
Alright, I guess I'll go ahead and go in to the sphere of darkness that they.
is this happening? Is the party splitting? This is good. Okay, so Natea and Vern, you guys are still walking. Grifola's at the door, and he started walking in. You notice that he's not there. You probably both like look over your shoulder to see if he's coming, and he just kind of like ducks in. Grifola, what do you do?
I'm kind of like looking around, see if anybody's looking, and just backing in the door slowly, just like.
There are two people looking, in fact, and they are both your party members.
Well, I mean, they're fine. They know I'm shenanigans.
I'll
The other.
turn around and walk back, and I'm just gonna be like, I guess we're just gonna wait out here, cause in case somebody comes by, you might want to push the door a little bit. You're not very, Well, I saw you go in there. I don't know where Smoke went, but I saw you go in.
I'm assuming Smoke went in there, considering that she's going in.
Yeah, you guys saw a tail go in, so.
So I'm kind of questioning, are we sure leaving Grifola and Smoke go in alone?
Well, if you want to go in after them, go for it. I don't have dark vision. Well, I do have dark vision.
No, everyone but
Wrong
me has dark
Wrong
vision.
character.
That's
So-
everybody but me has dark vision.
Yeah, if you want to go in, go ahead. But somebody needs to watch out here in case somebody comes by. And sorry, Squishy, but I should probably stay out here.
Considering how I look, I want to just wait inside.
A couple half-drunk guys are coming up the street, singing a song.
It's like, hurry, get in and close the door.
Rather than
I'm just gonna sway along, like kind of like act like I'm drunk or whatever.
Make a stealth check with advantage.
Who's stealthing?
Robin.
wait, are you sure I have advantage?
Yes, because Natea is helping you. Okay. So you stealth in the door, and Natea just kind of like acting drunk stands in the doorway. So you're now in a very dark room. You hear some movement in front of you, and it's pitch black because there's no window on that door, and it was closed after you. So, those that can see in the dark, what are you two doing?
Well, obviously there's another door in the room, so I need to go find that. And I'm not being quiet. I'm like, hey, we're here to help you. We just need some information.
Okay. Kashka, I need Nell to make a perception check.
Boo. Can't she just see all the things? Haha.
Okay.
Not too shabby.
Mm-hmm. So, Nell has not seen anything so far. And you guys are talking, looking for a door in the dark room, which just means it's still slightly inconvenient. If not, it's not like daylight or something. So, let's see. How fast are you trying to find this exit? Are you just like carefully walking around, or are you like hurriedly trying to pursue this person?
Just like a normal speed,
Okay.
non-threatening.
All right. So you see that there are several doorways, and after kind of like walking through a little bit here and there, you probably you see at least one door that has closed, and it doesn't actually go out the back. It seems to go to the next door, the next house over, perhaps, or it just goes into another room. But it's the only door inside the house. Everything else is like open doorways, which you actually have to duck underneath most of these doors. They're very low, like 5 foot.
Okay, I'm going to that door. Knock on it.
Yes.
Hey, we're just trying to help. We're not here to rob you or nothing.
And Griffola, you have no problem moving around in here. Everything actually seems to be strangely more towards your size.
And does it, well, I'm not going to really rifle through stuff, but I am going to take a quick look, see if there's anything weird.
Nothing out of the ordinary. It looks like it's a really rundown place. If somebody's living here, it's more like they just use it to sleep, type thing, or visit on occasion or something. It's not a nice establishment or house. There's nothing of any particular value here. There's no pictures on the walls, no decoration. It's got like some ragged cot looking things here, or like straw filled mattresses. It's very tight in here in general for most people. For you, it's relatively easy to move around in, and there is no response to your calling, Smoke.
I'll say, when I see it's kind of like looking a bit run down, I'll say, we are offering dragons for information, any information that you might have, to assist in our investigation of these heinous crimes against elves.
Okay. So no response.
All right, going to the door. Is it locked?
It is. And you're pretty sure that it is.
That.
Last time it seemed like the locking mechanism was actually a bit jammed, but Natea, the two drunk guys kind of like pass by with no incident.
I'm just gonna sit on the steps and kind of keep an eye out.
There actually isn't a step, but I understand.
Yeah, hang out. I'm gonna hang out right there. Then.
Yeah, that's fine. So what are you doing then? Oh, thieves' tools. I see it. Never mind. Dang, you're rolling really good tonight. Holy crap! Even with the +7, you're still rolling really good. Whoops, that just totally went.
Suck it up on my good luck.
Yeah.
We're kind of doing my thing.
Well, he's stealing your thunder, that's for certain. You're taking all the bad rolls for him. So, you pull out the tools, and even in the dark, you are able to have no problem whatsoever. You just kind of go, and Griffola is very close by, and you can see very clearly he very steadily just goes right in the lock with the first tool, right in with the second one, doesn't miss a beat, just it just comes open, no problem. It's a very simple lock. He didn't have any problem with it. It's like he had the key already. So the door, click, opens up. It's barely on the hinges.
Probably should have just kicked it. Hey, we're here to help.
It actually only has one hinge. So it's a little bit tough to open because it starts dragging on the floor, and you got to kind of lift it up a bit to open it the rest of the way. And it looks like it opens up out the back. This is just another small room, actually, and it opens up into the back.
Why does no one want me to help them? They only want me to kill them.
Now, Kashka, Griffola and Nell, they have a telepathic bond, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just making sure. So are you pursuing through the back door then? Or trying the back door? Okay. That door is actually unlocked, and it opens, and momentarily, Nell and you basically at the same time go, I see you.
Okay.
And yeah, you're out in the back area behind, very close to Keel Alley, back here. And there is a sleeping dog in the corner. There's a bunch of refuse and trash piled up back here. People's like half broken wood pallets and some old fishing gear and things like that just laying around. It looks like it's just goes out into another alley. No sign of anybody that you're looking for. No dark elf anymore.
Alright, they probably had a trap door somewhere. Let's just go back to the alley. Maybe we'll see some more elves that, want to not get murdered.
All right, so I forgot there to go back to Vern. So you're standing there in the dark, and you hear movement, obviously probably from your friends moving around in there. What do you do?
More or less whisper shout, Griffola, smoke. Then hurry up, grab the Never Ember torch, or what was it called again?
The ever-burning torch, yes.
Yeah, I gotta really make sure I write stuff properly.
You can just call it a magic torch. That works.
Yeah, maybe. Take it out. Pull up the cap.
And you can see how refuse-laden this house is. In fact, hey, look! There's a rat. Nope. That's 2 rats. This is a great place.
And I'm assuming there's nobody here.
Nope, but you do see that there are several open, doorways and stuff that you could probably go through. One of which has actually, you can see that there's a door that is slightly ajar. And the rest of you, the other 2 of you, you'll see that there's a light source coming through the doorway in the back, and you hear him calling.
Okay, so I'm going to bust through the door and scream at him.
Are we inducting Vern into the Brown Hands Hall of Fame?
He sold up fancy clothes and armor. Rah!
Robin, what would Vern do?
Probably more or less flinch, fall down backwards.
Of which your first impression would be the torch hits the ground. Oh my gosh, it's gonna set things on fire. Oh, wait a second, it's okay. It's a magic torch.
Yeah, probably. Actually, the torch would have probably went flying behind.
yeah, pretty much bounced off the wall, rolled on the floor. Yep. Of which any critters like finished scattering that hadn't already at that point. So.
And a ton of clattering.
Yep, pretty much. And yeah, any hope that you guys had of finding this guy at this point, he's pretty much, you're pretty sure he's gone. Natea, you hear a loud shout and clatter just behind the door behind you.
I just shake my head.
Yeah. I just creeped the door open. Natea, there's no one in.
I told you they were probably long gone. Now get the hell out of there and let's go. We're making so much noise.
I think I found some heroin, though.
Mm.
A fish?
I walk out the building, kind of hand hitting chest, making more noise.
All right. So
if you smell urine, it's Raven.
All right. So I'm assuming you guys want to just continue on looking down the docks and seeing if you can find any sign of any elven likes. Try and find clue of that for trying to find basically shadow them for a murderer is what it seems your plan is at this point.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm gonna speed things along. We're gonna do a party perception check. So everybody make a perception, including Nell.
Still hitting the average numbers for myself.
That's mine. And here's Nell. Yep, that's great.
All right. So more or less, it was around just after midnight when you guys started. It's getting on like almost 5 a.m. at this point. You guys are all getting pretty tired, and you haven't come across anything yet. I mean, you've seen a few like characters around, but you really haven't found like somebody that you could shadow. Either they were like in the pub and then they like went to the house next door, locked it, and went to sleep. Nobody was like walking along in the dock wards that you're able to find that so far. And you can start seeing the first rays in the distance of sun.
Yeah, I say we head back and get some rest.
Okay. You guys gonna head back then?
Yeah, I guess we might as well. There's always tomorrow night.
Okay. So you guys head back. Takes you probably about an hour and a half to get back, if only because people or all the vendors and the dock really starts waking up around like 5 a.m., if not a little bit before then, to get the fishing vessels out and all that, catching the tide and whatnot. So you're able to get back, but there's a lot of business going on, so it slows you down a bit. But you get back home, and I would say probably Smoke would smell that familiar feline smell again when you guys get back to the manor.
So that cat sprayed our door.
No, not like that. You just you caught a whiff though. That cat is either in the area or was in the area.
All right. Well, of course I caught a scent, so I gotta start tracking.
All right. Go ahead and make oh, it's not insight. What is the name of the skill? For
Investigation?
yes, make an investigations check there. See what you got.
I must be tired.
You are very tired. In fact, you're very disappointed. It's been so boring. What the heck? And now there's that cat came back. You don't know where it is, and you can't see. Oh, probably here 2 hours ago. Doesn't smell very fresh.
You could ask the ranger to try and track it.
If only cat. If only
Well,
cats.
it's not an elf, so he doesn't hate it.
All right. So, you guys pretty much bunker down, sleep well into the day. I'm guessing at that point, just rest up. Yes. No.
Yeah.
See,
All right.
Wait.
I need to recharge my spells.
Weren't we gonna get breakfast this morning from our friend?
Mm-hmm. Which, when you get back, I mean, Bonnie is not there. I mean, she doesn't necessarily stay there or anything, but she is not there. And I mean, actually, wait. If you stayed up until around close to 5, got you back. Yeah, actually, 6:30. She probably would. You would probably meet her out front. So she would probably be waiting for you there, and looking like she was actually about to leave, and saw you guys and would be like, oh, there you are. So, and she's got like
Bonnie a key.
What's that?
I feel like we should get Bonnie a key.
Wait,
I don't
a
think
key?
that's gonna be our last night out. You know?
Well, she's got like a basket, and it seems to have like some bread, eggs, cheese, some uncooked meat, stuff like that in it.
Cool. I'll give Bonnie my key and ask her if she saw a talking cat.
And she'll make an insight check.
She's a cat. Bonnie is secretly a cat.
Nope, I'm exhausted.
All right. She just raises an eyebrow at you, like, no. Should I have?
Well, besides me, I mean,
She goes, well, I'm here to make you some breakfast, so I'm gonna kind of need access here if you don't mind. And she takes the key and says, shall I get set up then?
I say, yeah, here, I'll show you where we've got the
All right. And
base for you.
she comes in and she's like, oh.
Yeah, I know, right?
Do you have a wood store?
Do we have a wood store?
She's like, I don't, I didn't bring food for a cold breakfast, but I suppose I could go back out and bring something else.
I feel like we could, yes, we have a wood store, as I gesture to all broken chairs.
She's like, I understand that would work well for just general heat, but I don't think that it would actually make the food taste very good. Because actually, a lot of the furniture and stuff is a little bit moldy. You know, and covered with feces of different rodents of certain types.
Right, so we don't have a wood store though, right?
Not really. I mean, you guys have been burning some of the wood furniture that was fairly burnable. I mean, without like breaking down lots of other stuff on other floors. And you could, but she's just saying that it probably won't. The food won't taste that good because it's going to be burning some really nasty stuff.
I don't even know. Bonnie, I don't even know. We've been up all night trying to be, responsible citizens, and I don't even know. We don't even have a wood store.
She says, "Oh, so you weren't just getting you've been out on well, I'll tell you what then. How about I come back in a few hours, maybe like 6 hours or so, and I'll just leave you guys a little something for now." And she pulls back the towel and sets down the basket for a moment, then decides she's just going to use the towel itself, and puts out a whole bunch of just like small little breads. And she's got a stick of butter and a butter knife. And she's like, I know it's not much, but I planned on making a bit more for you, but at least this, will do for something at the moment. A little bit of butter bread. And I think, and she goes, oh, yeah, yeah. And she pulls out like a wedge of cheese and sets it down and says, this should at least get you, off to sleep for now. And I'll come back in the early afternoon, okay?
I'll hand her a dragon. I'm like, here, just get what you can with this.
And she goes, "Oh, okay. I'll have someone bring by some wood for you then. Shall I have that just stacked over out front by the, or do you want it around the side?" She's just
Probably around the side.
okay. She's just nitpicking it, just trying to be helpful. And she's like, "Okay, all right, thank you." And she kind of like does a quick bow and stuff, and then heads out. And she goes, did you want your key back?"
No, hold on to it just in case, we're out.
And her eyes get kind of wide, and she goes, okay. And she kind of clutches it to her chest a little bit, and then just like takes off.
That way we can have breakfast waiting for us after, successful hunt for nothing.
And we also have nothing of value here.
All right. Except for when you're out at the opera. Right. Of which some of them are some of the fancy duds are probably just like draped across the bar, which was probably the cleanest spot since all the things have been knocked off of it at this point.
Hey, I was cleaning.
Right.
Remember? I was cleaning for a while.
Yeah, but you guys don't exactly have any furniture, so it's like probably set it on something. You have a cot, okay.
Did the ghost fold our clothes for us?
It doesn't look like there have been any signs of Sif doing anything at the house.
I'm gonna nibble as food, and then I'm gonna go just lay down on one of the cots and go take.
All right.
I'm gonna do a sleep.
Yep. So you guys get some food. The cheese is actually really good. It's really good cheese. Hey, what can I say? It's really good cheese. So guys get a good morning's sleep and wake up later on to the smell downstairs of cooking food. Bacon, nice potatoes, tomatoes. Just kind of like making a charcuterie board or something like that for you guys, whatnot. I can't remember what it's called. Like meat, cheese, stuff like that. Just kind of setting it up with some cooked foods, a bit of egg on the side, and just trying to get a feel for what's going on. Just basic foods. She's not trying to like overload you guys with something fancy at this point. She's not much of a cook, as she proclaims when you guys see her and stuff, but she's gonna do what she can to try and help you guys out. But she did say
you're a miracle worker.
she said and you also notice that she did a little bit better of a job cleaning up like a kitchen area as well, so that it was a bit more usable. And she said that she found the water, that there was actually a water source not far that she was able to use and kind of like refill things in here. So the place is starting to look a little bit cleaner, and it smells a lot better, that's for certain. She did say though that somebody came by this morning and said that what was her Matilda was wanting to stop by in the afternoon sometime, and she said that she would be stopping by. She stopped by this morning, and I told her that you guys were sleeping, so I hope that was okay.
Yes, that was amazing. Bonnie, you are amazing.
And she blushes a little.
Right, were we expecting... I don't recall us expecting Matilda to return.
Last you saw, she was passing out when she left.
Right.
Yeah, maybe she learned something in one of her old bearded books.
Maybe.
So if any of you end up looking at some point, or as you progress or whatever, you find that she has had a wood store assembled out where one looks like it was at one point, and it didn't resemble one at all before. So, and it is now stocked full with wood, and she took some of the money and got like a nice cauldron pot as well that is now hanging in the hearth.
Okay, nice work.
And not far after your lunch, brunch, whatever you want to call it,
Who knows?
you guys get a visit from Matilda. Comes knocking at the door.
Yep, I'll go answer it and see her and invite her in.
And she's once again got like her the cart is out there waiting for her and stuff, and she goes, "Oh, I'm so glad you're okay. I just wanted to check in on you and see how things are going."
Well, so far everything's been okay. It's been pretty quiet. We haven't seen the Sif or Lif, sorry, whatever.
Oh
the
yeah, it was
ghostie's
Lif.
name.
Yeah, not Sif, Lif.
We haven't seen Lif or signs of it. Her, it, whatever it is. So that's kind of a plus.
She said, I'm sorry about the condition I left. I should have warned you that it's usually a very draining experience. But another thing is that I don't typically remember most of the experience. I do know that I remember at the end there, and I was kind of passing out on you. So I just wanted to say I'm sorry about that. But can I help you interpret anything? I mean, I wasn't awake myself for it.
She didn't really give much information, but it did seem like they're stuck in some kind of loop. Like maybe they worked here at one point.
Yeah, you can't serve this.
Yeah, she just kept saying that we offered her food, and she just kept saying she couldn't serve that, and it just that's mainly all that they said.
She was saying you're not welcome here, but I'm not convinced that she was talking about us. And then she said you're just messing up the place, which is kind of the opposite of what we're doing. It's already a mess, and we're trying to clean it up. So I kind of feel like she wasn't talking to us. It's like she was saying stuff that happened the moment before, maybe like in the last day or before she died or something. I don't know.
And she says, well, in my experience, when channeling them in my years of time, I mean, like I said, I'm not usually cognizant while it's happening, but I mean, I've had a lot of discussions with people before and after, and it sounds like what you're describing is relatively common for relatively harmless entities. Now, not to say that they can't harm you, but that's usually if you just get on their bad side. Now, in this case, I'd say it seems like it's a lost spirit of sorts. Very unhappy, and it's probably, as you said, reliving its past in some way, shape, or form. I'd guess it was a servant here at one point, and it probably came to a tragic end, and that's why it's in its current state. But that's not usually going to help. In fact, typically the only way to do it is through like a magical, as I would like to say, execution of such a spirit. And I hazard against that, because I don't believe in that type of thing. In fact, it would be against what gives me my food on a daily basis. As you can see, it's a conflict of my interest. What I would recommend is that you try to work with it. It seems to have, as you said, an interest in keeping the place clean, I guess. As it was a servant here, it probably wants to see the place used, and it's probably very upset with the current state of the building. I understand you're new owners, and I mean no offense by that. I'm only trying to interpret its intentions. Says that would be my best offer. Something that might come about is I've known them to actually enjoy living in residences in the past. It's a rare thing, but they can actually be cooperative at times.
At times. And what about the other half?
Well, it entirely depends on how well you meet the spirit's needs. Often I find it to be extremely beneficial to work with them than against them.
Well, we have been cleaning it up, and now we've got Bonnie cooking, but she's amazing. Maybe we can find her killer, and then kill them in here for revenge.
And she kind of squints at you and goes, "You are a special one, aren't you?" And she looks over at Nate and says, "You make sure you keep him good. I fear he's going to need it before the end. I
try my best.
I don't fancy meeting people in life as I do in on life too. So you watch yourselves. Did you have any other questions that you had for me? That's the advice I could give at this point. I hope it helps."
Well, actually, I've been kind of missing Liv. Can you bring her back?
Well, like I said before, I at least I think I did. I was a bit out of it at the time, but I imagine that the specter will return in time. But I heal a little bit easier than specters do, at least when it comes to being possessed by one. It will drain them for a time, so you'll probably see the spirit or specter again in the next few days, I would imagine. And upon hearing all this conversation, Bonnie is just kind of standing in the doorway with her eyes like really big, holding a spoon. A little bit of batter is falling off the spoon, and she doesn't seem to even recognize that that's happening because she's just like agape at this conversation and what's going on. She looks.
So is there anything that we can do to help the specter get better?
She says, "Time. It means nothing to them, but obviously it wears it in the experience."
Okay. I just want to help our little buddy.
All right. Well, if you don't have anything else, I'll be on my way. I mean, I don't usually do these follow-ups and whatnot, especially when somebody like Volo stops by. But you know, I left in such a shambles last time. I do so feels bad. Yes. What can I do?
How can we reach you if we do need to? If we would like to talk to you again?
Actually, let me zoom out. And she said she lives on the edge of the City of the Dead. Basically, in there on the east wall over by the St. Cuthbert's Temple.
Well, then why didn't we see her before?
Because she was in a wagon. She lives in like a traditional style gypsy wagon type thing. She says it's not far from the St. Cuthbert's place. It's more or less just up there, but we're allowed permission by the city here because I've helped a few people in the past.
Right, where the heck is she?
She's, I think, hold on a second, let's zoom in a bit because I can't remember the exact building I had called the St. Cuthbert one before. It was like one of these two before. And I'm going to say that she is currently like over here in like a little gypsy cart wagon type thing. If you want to put a marker, you can.
Wait, where's over here?
Here-ish.
Well, are we supposed to the main map or the city, our house map?
Oh, what are you guys on? Yeah, we're on the city map.
Okay.
Yeah, it's being pinged right now. I've got an arrow pointing to it. It's in the City of the Dead. She lives in this bush.
There it is.
Yeah, there you go.
Really hard with big map.
And then she thanks you guys, and pretty much on her way. And
It's instead of the house right there.
no, she doesn't live in a house. She lives in like your traditional style gypsy wagon,
In the bush.
more or less where the bush is. I was being
The
sarcastic.
wagon looks like the bush.
It's a very well disguised wagon.
A little too.
Rolled a 20 on its stealth check, that wagon.
I think you guys are just happy to find somebody that was potentially able to help you before. So
Yeah, I just thank her and walk her to the door and tell her if we have any issues or we need some help with any of this again, then we'll come to her.
Okay. And she gets helped up into her carriage and stuff, and she's on her way. So, what you guys up to next?
Hey, Bonnie, we got a ghost here.
And she's pretty much like very curious and looking a little bit shaken by it.
I said, come on, you have to have seen crazier things at the Yawning Portal. I mean, that place has a big ass hole in the middle of the roof, which crazy stuff comes out of.
Yeah, a troll, for crap's sake. I mean, come on, we've been here for like 10 minutes and a troll crawls out.
She says, yeah, but I have to say, I've never seen any specters come out before, and I don't mean anything by this, but Durnan's always at hand if I need him.
Yeah, you won't really see it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, technically you won't see it unless, you spec in.
And she just kind of like, and she's like looking around.
It's like, there's definitely no running away from it.
It's currently,
And she's like muttering under her breath, like talking really fast to herself, like, what have I got myself into? I don't know if this is the right idea.
it's not malicious. It's not harmful. The best thing we're gonna do is start cleaning this place up, and that should satisfy it. But it's not due back for like another 3 days, so you're good for right now. Yeah, it's on a bit of a schedule. It was energy drain,
She's like,
Took a holiday.
and she just kind of shakes her head and walks with the spoon still up back into the kitchen.
Promise we won't let it harm you. It doesn't harm people. It just like it put soot on the. I was like, never mind. I just walked off.
All right. So what you guys up to next?
Well, we've eaten, we've rested,
We scared to help.
we've scared Bonnie. Do we want to go find the talking horse?
Might as well.
Do we still want to? I mean, it's daytime, right? So we can't exactly go back on the hunt for elf murderer.
This is true. Might as well go find it. I mean, we've seen stranger things. Why not
And
a
a
talking horse?
And a talking cat.
Besides this fiction.
What if the horse and the cat are the same? What if it's like some crazy druid person? And it's actually the same.
That would be really weird that a druid would be actually transforming to a horse just to pull carts all day, even if it's undercover.
Hey, you gotta make ends meet. I got 5 nymphs to feed.
That just reminded me, we should probably go change our money to smaller points.
Oh yeah. You guys gonna be going to the Magisters or the Mage Guild as well, and submit yourselves for maginess?
I'm not a mage. I don't need to submit nothing. I already found my people, and they are absolutely insane. So they like to burn their own crap. I mean,
I need to kill someone in order to find my people. Get that handprint we know.
All right. So far, I hear one vote for exchanging coin.
Yeah, I guess we probably should go do that.
No, we.
I mean, I have plenty, but
Yeah.
Like, what coin are you guys carrying? All I'm carrying is a sun and dragons. Sun being
What?
the
I've got
platinum,
93 nibs. I've got 8. What is this? Silver or no? I don't know what that
silver
one is.
shard.
Over our
Yeah, I forgot the silvers and 150 of the gold pieces
The
that
dragons.
we've had, and then we've got 9 dragons. I got 12 suns because I have both me and his stuff.
Holy hell.
I think she had that because Volo paid you all 100 dragons to start
Yeah,
with.
and
Then she started buying some drinks and stuff, whatnot, and getting it broken down a bit.
Yeah.
and also the whole fact of I got torched. You guys got money.
yeah. You were paying for stuff you moved.
Hey, don't forget, you got paid by the Harper agent Mert.
Yeah, you got your own money too. I mean,
Yeah.
you shouldn't
start
have
buying
to.
some.
You shouldn't
Wait.
have to break yours down by now. I would think he gave you at least
How much did he give me
whatever
again?
currency.
He gave you 10 for each person in your party.
Of what?
Actually, it wasn't dragons; it was suns. So he gave you 4 suns.
Yeah, he gave you sons, which
Yeah.
know you haven't told us whether we had them or not.
No, I totally went over that. I gave him 1 each.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. He came out and immediately gave us 2 sons. I got it written down right. So see, I mean, you could have had sons all to yourself. I mean,
No, I would have to split them with Griffola, and she would probably wield.
So upon deciding this, you guys would know that there's probably some banks over by the halls of justice near the magister's office that you guys did your stuff. So you could probably go there to get your monies changed. There's also several guild houses, and by guilds I mean houses that seem to have the larger symbols on them. One of which would actually resemble the Mage Guild symbol that was seen on the little button on the one guy's outfit.
Why don't you go register there, Griffola?
Why don't you steal me one of those buttons?
yeah, I mean, you can tell
Okay.
That, but, we are pages after all.
All right. So do I
Absolutely.
see anyone walking around with one of those pins?
If you hang out long enough, you probably would find somebody wearing one of those, because there are people that are going in and out of these offices regularly. There are a lot of armed guards around. There are a lot of basically law people nearby, because you're at the halls of justice near the magister's office.
I mean, we're looking into dead elves. I'm sure there might be a dead elf mage that you can take one. I mean, come on. I don't want to go to jail. I mean, you already messed up last night going into somebody's house.
You know what? I'll just register. Screw it. I'll just do it.
Okay.
Conform.
One of
One
us.
down.
One of us.
All right. So you guys splitting up, or are you all trying to accompany her into the offices? The Mage Guild
Yeah.
office.
They won't let us in if we don't use magic, will they?
You don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't.
Maybe they're racist like Riker over there.
I look around. I mean, there's plenty of law people. I'm pretty sure she's going to be safe going in on her own. We'll kind of, everybody do what you need to do in this little area. We'll meet back right here in the middle. I just stomp my foot on the ground right here in the middle.
All right. So you guys split the party up in what you're feeling to be the most secure area of the town, of the city. Sounds perfect. So, an earthquake.
We're all gonna die.
All right.
Giant robots come from the sky.
Oh,
The great old one erupts from a crack. And
again? Gosh, thought that happened on Tuesdays.
Last Tuesday.
So giant sandworms from Beetlejuice.
All right. So, more or less, you guys, you get all your monies changed out. So, if you have any that hasn't been changed over to the Waterdeep equivalent, you can do so now. If you are keeping any that is non-Waterdeep monies, make sure to mark it on your sheet and let me know. Otherwise, we're going to go with Grifola. There's a large, very court-like building before you with like large pillars. It's very clean. There are several people that seem to wear robes of sorts going in and out. Not all of them are doing so, though. Several are just well equipped. I actually saw someone wearing what looked like studded leather go in there, but you know, a lot of them tend to be scholars of sorts.
Okay, I will go in, attempt to go in the front doors.
Okay. There are 2 armed guards there. They actually have what look like spears, but actually they're just long staffs with looks like a sharp-pointed crystal spear tip of a sort at the top. And it doesn't look like it's a traditional spear. It looks more like it's for looks than anything. But they look at you as you go in, and they let you go past. They don't say a thing.
I'm doing this thing where I'm like, yep, I totally know that they're not going to stop me, when really I'm like, oh god, are they going to stop me?
Like the Watchers. So you go in, and there's actually like a couple different doors that, you know, have a few labels on them. There's more people dressed similarly to the armed guys out there. But there is someone at a desk, and there seems to be a little bit of a queue. There's like 3 people in line at the moment, one of which is the studded leather armor person. The other 2 are conversing. They're just standing next to each other with like books underneath their arms and stuff.
Like a register here, sign anywhere.
There just seems to be a very large desk, and then there's several doors behind. And it's just this large open room, and one person sitting behind the desk talking to the person in the studded leather.
I will wait in line like a good person.
Okay. Nothing of consequence goes by. The conversations you overhear seems to be like problems with so-and-so casting a spell on my pig, and you know, and this person registering a complaint with that. And then the next 2 come up, and they put down, you probably observe them putting down 2 dragons each. And they say what you're assuming is their names and their house of residence and stuff. And they say something about dues. And then it's the guy that's sitting there has like these 2 little tiny like glasses that he kind of keeps pushing up his nose, even though it doesn't look like they would weigh anything. And they seem to like constantly keep slipping down his nose. Looks like a very old human. Or half-elf. It's tough to tell because he's got a lot of like long grayish hair that goes over his ears. He's dressed relatively plainly, but still nice. And he just kind of like is making motions with his fingers, and things are being written in books. And then he just kind of motions them on, and then it's your turn. Somebody walks up behind you and queues up.
Okay. So I say, I'm here to register.
And he says, "Oh, nice. Actually," and he kind of makes this like clapping sound motion next to him, and one of the doors opens, and he says, "Eric, would you mind taking care of a new sign up, please?" And he says, "Oh, please come this way." And he actually kind of makes this wave, and what looked like wasn't there, suddenly there's like another very small desk with 2 chairs on either side, and a bunch of like writing utensils and stuff appear on top. And he takes a seat and says, "Please have a seat."
I sit down.
And he says, "I'm Eric. I'll be helping you sign up. Is this your first time registering here in Waterdeep?"
Yes.
Says, "Okay. Well, there is a First, I will let you know about the benefits. It will give you access to any and all magical pursuits within the city bounds, as well as you will be representative of this mage guild. So you do need to be aware of the consequences of this, and he actually has a pamphlet that has a lot of like the laws and rules and stuff, very similar to the one that Volo gave you guys early on, saying so please be cautious with that. If I could get you to sign on here, that is going to complete the form, but before doing so, know that there is a fee of 5 5 dragons for a first-time initiation acceptance, and then from after that, it is 2 dragons per month for the fee.
And could you explain the benefits exactly one time, please?
He says,
What,
well, you'd
what
be
is
allowed...
it that I receive for my fund?
He says, well, 1, it will help support the magical resistances of the city that we're living in. I will need also, and he points over, he says, your point of address on here as well, as you will need to be a resident of the local area to become part of the Magisters, or the Mages Guild. But the 1, it will help support to keep the city safe because of the magical safeguards that are in place, preventing invasion and whatnot. Taxes is another, as well as the option of gaining acceptable purchase at any and all magic stores that are within the city walls.
Okay, I don't say anything. I take the 5 dragons out. Okay. I'm gonna. So what's he asking to sign?
It's actually just like this little paper that more or less details about what he just said. There might be a few more words in there than what he was saying, and he was kind of paraphrasing it. But it seems to say almost exactly what he said. It does require like a point of address, next of kin contact, should there be any like loss of life or belongings or people that we need to contact in case there's any kind of issue or whatnot. So it does have like several lines on there for an address, your own information, as well as other people that you need to contact. He says, now, if you do have issues with signing the form, we can actually have those transcribed for you so that you can just use a finger and it will imprint on there normally.
And say, oh, so this is actually magical?
He says, yes.
Griffola's just kind of sitting there reading the whole thing.
And he just sits there perfectly patient.
Do I have like reason to believe that if I as I'm signing a magical thing, if I break one of these kind of bylaws that are part of the guild, am I going to are they going to know about it?
Make an insight check. So I'm going to say that you're basing that more or less off of what he's saying and what you can gain from the paperwork. Okay. I would say you're actually relatively unsure. It could be that that's just a posturing thing that the Mages Guild does in order to encourage people not to break said laws. But it also is probably more for the... it could be actual magically binding as far as you're aware, because you're not that familiar with magics, especially when there's this advanced of a city with access to such things. There could be plenty of things that are beyond your knowledge base that you couldn't account for.
The stuff the rules that are in there, are these like don't use magic on other people and like...
don't use magic on people without permission. You're not supposed to like steal, kill, things like that. It's the traditional law stuff, especially like mind influencing ones, unless the person is willing and with witness and stuff.
So I mean, basically, I'm signing to say that I won't do any of the stuff that I'm actually going to need to do.
It's actually more or less agreeing to follow the city's rules, and that your dues are being used to benefit the city's magical protections as well as support the taxes in the area.
I'm gonna ask this person to describe the magical.
The magical what?
You said there's it's supporting the magical defense.
Yes.
What is that?
He says, well, I'm not actually at liberty to get into the details of it. If
Just
only
general. Does it protect everybody or just the magic users?
He says, well, once upon a time, the city has been, well, not once upon a time. The city has been under siege countless times in the past, and it is known as a bastion of safety for especially scholars to further their pursuits. And more or less, it's to pay for materials, upkeep, and bindings of said magics and protections that more or less protect the city from invasions, as well as to equip a lot of the Magister's force that are out enforcing your everyday law.
And so if I sign this, I get the shiny button.
He says, if that's what you'd like it to be.
God damn it. I hate this. Griffola hates this. I sign it angrily.
Okay.
And push forward the money.
All right, and he says, "All right." And was there any
like tearing the paper? So
was there any deception in what you signed?
No.
Okay. Then he takes it and he folds it, and then he just kind of does like this and hands it back to you, and says, "There you go." And he says, "Are you familiar with the transformation of it?"
No.
Says,
is it something you should have explained before I signed it?
He says, no, it's just a simple item of identification. Should you decide to enter into any kind of scholarly establishment like this, and somebody requires proof of your Mages Guild entrance, this is it at this point. We now have a copy of it, but it is for you to actually wear as you would desire. It is transformable in its appearance to a point. It's basically a very small trinket now. He says, for example, as I have not bestowed it upon you yet, I can't actually change it. It's just a paper, and he's got like this little brooch, and he pulls it out and says, "This is it." And he kind of like pulls it forward, and he pulls it off, and it just turns into like a contract like yours. Opens it up and says, "See." It's very simple and easy to identify for anybody who has been registered as a shopkeep, sales, or magister of the city. And he puts it back. Whoop, it turns into like a brooch back onto his shirt. He says, you just need to decide what you want it to look like, and that's what it'll be. It's usually not bigger than the size of this. I
decide that it's going to look like a pin in the shape of a rude hand gesture.
Okay. So you've got a rude hand gesture on your. Actually, there's a few I could think of. On your breast now, on the breast of your jacket or whatever it is you're wearing, and yeah, there you go. You just think of it. It turns into it, and you put it here, and it affixes itself to your jacket.
Then I say, "You guys are creepy as fuck."
And he kind of like gets this look of concern on you and says, "Have a nice day, and welcome to the Mages Guild." And he looks a little bit defeated at this point.
And I kind of stand up and I give him some shifty eyes, like, I've got my eyes on you, and then I leave.
Okay.
And I kind of like looking back at him a couple of times.
And he seems to be like pushing the chairs in and stuff, and doing a hand gesture, and they just kind of like disappear. You don't know if they were invisible or if they just actually went somewhere. But he then goes back through the door that he came in through. And there's a couple other people in the queue behind you.
Oh, there's people waiting behind me?
Well, not for that, but at the desk.
I say to them, as I'm walking past, I'm just like walking out the door. And I'm like, don't sign it. Just don't take my advice. Don't sign it.
One of them is actually a half orc, and they kind of like get this look on their face of like a little bit scared. Do you just keep going?
Yeah. I'm just like sowing a little dissent.
Okay. All right. So you're back out. Everybody else has got their money changed up. Are you guys? Sorry for the split off for so long, but is anybody else doing anything else in the area?
So how did it go?
Well, I think you guys have got like some time to catch up, right?
If they want to, otherwise they just took their time getting their money changed and we're waiting.
Well,
did
more
we
or less.
see did we see any people that looked elven and perhaps dock workers or sailors?
None of them seem to resemble the people that you saw last night.
Well, no, just in general.
But you've seen plenty of elvens come through. Sun elves, yes.
We'll probably talk to them in order to find out if they knew anything or suspected anything about what was going on in the dock.
Most of them are unfamiliar with that part of the city and would not be caught dead in it. And that's probably the most you'd be able to get out of most of them.
All right. Well, since we are in the justice area, would we be able to ask any of the local authorities?
So you wanted to ask some of the guard-looking people?
Yes.
Okay. More or less, those that are stationed there are also not part of the dock ward area. They don't frequent that area. Their job is here. They are above such things in that area. They kind of have like this air of superiority a bit. They're very proud of their position and the fact that, you know, they're getting asked. They're like, that's not for us. We're part of the mages area. I mean, there's the halls of justice there and stuff, but they're like, we protect this. We don't go down there. That's for the others to take care of.
Okay, which others?
More or less, you get the feeling that it was like the people that busted in when you were at the Zentarum hideout fighting Xanathar guild members who had killed a bunch of Zentarum, and the police, as it is, came in. Probably getting the feeling that it's mostly those type. The local magisters in that area. I mean, like each ward more or less has their own district, I guess.
Okay, so we need to go talk to the local cops. Wait, didn't we make a contact with one of them? I don't remember. It was so long ago.
Upon all those questions that you were asking all the different people and stuff, Griffola comes back out. Meets up with the rest of you at that time.
I'm kind of stomping up. I have this like super sour look on my face.
So, looks like it went good.
I'm kind of like looking back over my shoulder at the building that I just came from. I'm trying to decide how flammable.
You see a half-orc start walking out looking completely like this was a bad choice. This was a bad choice.
I say, see, he made the right decision.
What did you do, Griffola?
Well, I got the stupid badge, look.
You guys see a rude hand
Find my
gesture
right
pin
away.
on her lapel. If she even has a
I
lapel.
gave them money for magical defenses of the city. Why am I paying for that? Why isn't it like a general tax on the whole populace? Everybody's being defended, but no, the magic users get to be paid for.
Robin, your character would know that there is a general tax.
Oh, there is.
Yes. Especially
There
for
actually is one.
especially for property owners.
Wait, how would I know for the property owner thing?
Probably just from your general experience in the area. Natea might have seen that on the paperwork that she signed and now has a deed for.
That one, yeah, that would make sense.
City defense tax, school tax.
Yep.
Damn
Yep.
it.
Shield Guardian tax.
Don't even have kids, gotta pay for the schools.
Right.
Stupid.
Yep. Anti-cat tax.
God damn it.
On the plus side, there's also a dog catcher tax. So there you go.
How is that a plus?
Because he's a kitty.
I
Alright.
can eat most dogs.
So you guys got your money changed. You got your memberships done.
So just to remember this. So how often does she have to pay after the first? Actually, how
Never-
long was the
never
first
again.
thing? Was the
I never
5
pay
gold?
anything to those assholes ever again.
Hey, you got your badge. I don't think you really need to pay them.
Exactly. Who cares?
We don't need no stinking
But-
badges.
but
That was
just
a
to confirm,
stupid
though, how
purchase
much-
anyway.
Like, how much is the guild actually charging? Like, you said the first 5 was for how long?
For a month. It's for a
So-
month.
Wait, so it's 5? How are you making that much money?
Right? I mean, how the hell is anybody supposed to afford this?
Well, I guess we need to find a murderer and a talking horse.
Hmm.
Speaking of talking horse, let's go find this weird thing.
Okay. What do you guys want to do?
Considering stay, I say if we just start wandering around. Wait, actually, where?
We need to
know,
find Wilbur.
Mr. Ed.
I did not really get much information on where the whereabouts could have
Wait.
possibly been. We got a city.
I don't know. You had the letter from the boy. It told you about the talking horse where it usually is. So.
Yeah, didn't Mert give you any, like, additional info on that?
Mm-hmm.
IBM seems to think so.
It's at least in the quest log. So
It tells us to look in a city.
there you
Horse
go.
is a horse, of course, of course. Of course.
And we don't know if this technically anyone knows that the horse can actually talk. So who's willing to walk around a city for you all?
Walk around the city yelling, Maxie! To the Stella. Stella! Maxie!
More or less.
So seriously, you guys just gonna walk around yelling Maxine?
No.
We have no other option.
No, come on, seriously, we have to have a better option than that.
All our quest logs say is locate her, find out the identity of the operatives, and determine their whereabouts. So
Mhm. This was a task to test how resourceful you guys can be.
Yeah, we didn't get the note, so I didn't write it down because you had the note, but you didn't share it with.
I could have sworn I shared the note as well.
He shared the note actually. I think I remember him saying he did.
I think it was literally just the thing I wrote in the quest log.
Yep, that's pretty much it. That's also why it pays so much, is because it's not exactly the easiest task to find a talking horse in the city. So
And also that I did not ask the proper questions, like, does anyone else know that talking horse can talk?
Well, presumably this horse is magic, right?
well, it was
Be able to
it
talk.
was maybe, I don't know.
So wait, it's so horse when they say, hang on, what did they say again? They said one of the drays were in the city is okay.
Basically,
so-
find the horse, see
find the
if she
text.
finds identities of operatives, and if so, find where they are.
So I think maybe we could like scout out. Usually, like cities like the taxi ranks, right, are all like there's clumps of taxi. So maybe we could like scout out a couple of spots where they're all
So-
hanging out.
Like the stables and stuff.
Yeah, or just like popular spots where people pick and get picked up. Like I mean, like outside the opera, there were a bunch of them, right? So
You guys are right next to the market.
is there like a bunch of drays there?
It's a very busy place. I mean,
I'm not looking under to see if they're drays or not.
there are drays throughout the place, but there is a lot at the market as it is, because like Trader's Way and Bazaar Street, it's more or less packed, but there are also a lot of those around for people to, get to and fro.
And we're going to start walking around talking to horses, and that's not going to alert the city guard.
You've seen a lot of
Hey, I
weird
have
things
this
going on
badge.
already.
I can do whatever the fuck I want. Is there like, hey Vern, with your city contacts, do they happen to know of any like larger stables that might be used by the taxi driver type guys?
I couldn't actually find him the last time I tried, so we gotta wait a little. Am I actually being heard?
What?
Okay.
You said you got to what
Yeah.
a little?
Wait.
Oh, wait a little.
Remember you said that he was not there last time?
He was not there last time.
So, yeah.
Is there like a taxi?
That was like
Right.
2 days ago. So, sorry.
The taxis are the drays, right? Like
Yes.
that's the
Yep.
Jadavian word for that. So, are there any dray drivers, drays and drivers, whatever you want to call them, around the market?
Yes. This is what I was saying.
Okay. So, can I approach one of the drivers then and say, "Hey,
Excuse me, sir. Do you have a talking horse?
hey, does your horse ever behave strangely?" No. I want to ask, like, I'm trying to think how to word this without being like super weirdo. But I just
Ask if there's a super weird driver, because
Oh, yeah.
you figure if someone had a talking horse and they would act super weird, you wouldn't want to hang out with that kind of.
say,
Any
That's why
drivers
Wilbur
that
was
talk to
single.
their-
Any specifics that a Zent would have. I think about it.
Any what?
Anything that a Zentarum member would have. Because if they if we wear something or have something on us that represent them, maybe the horse will actually look at us.
"Hey, you're Zentarum." Punctuated by
Hey, that's my only idea.
Guys are killing me.
Okay, killing the gem is back on the table.
Okay, so I'm gonna approach one of the drivers.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna start up kind of a conversation with them. Like, hey, how's business? I'm new in the city. My cat likes to meow really loudly.
Says, you think that's funny? You should hear the frickin' Fred's horse over there.
Oh, really?
No.
You tell me more.
All right, so you're just trying to like strike up conversation, get a little information out of the guy.
Yeah.
So let's just make a persuasion check.
A persuasion, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Sorry, the meowing.
Yes. I'll try and say yes between the meows. He is still meowing. I hear him through the door. Oh my gosh. All right. So he doesn't seem like inhospitable or anything like that. He seems a little put off by the fact that he's not used to talking to Swerfneblins. Just in general, you're guessing. At least that's the feeling you get. He just isn't familiar with it because you're not a very common race around here. But otherwise, he doesn't seem to be aware of any, though the thought of having a talking horse pulling that isn't unheard of. There's...
No, I don't mention the talking horse.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just trying to like, what I want to do is like ask him if there's like a stable area, but I'm trying to work it into conversation, so I'm not just coming out like, "Hey, where's your stables?" You know.
Okay, all right. So you'd get the idea that there are several in the city. I'm not actually familiar with those specifically. Hold on. There's going to be probably at least like one main like storage stable for some of the drays in each ward is what I would say. But otherwise, that's about all you'd get out of him on that conversation. I mean, it all depends on which ward you'd be interested in. You know, and him being part of the marketplace or the market area, he kind of splits between the castle and the north ward. He doesn't belong to one of the stables in that area.
Okay, so can you point me in the direction of one?
He'd pretty much direct you to. Hold on a second. Let's zoom in a bit here. Hold on. Down by the Palace of Waterdeep, in the southwest corner. Down here, I'm pinging on the map.
There it is.
He says down in that area they've got one, but it's, you know, it's somewhere near Fetlock Court up in this area. It's where they more or less have a stable.
That would make sense. Fetlocks being horse leg bit.
He says, but that's a really fancy neighborhood there. I mean, that's the palace.
Okay. Any others that you can point out?
And he says, well, I think there are some like in the north wards, but I'm not exactly sure. I need each of you to make an intelligence check. Because you're probably all hearing the conversation being nearby.
Right. Who? Everybody or?
Yes, everybody. Unless people are specifically trying to not hear the conversation.
Intelligence.
Hey, look at that. Looks like Natea is gonna outroll.
I have no clue of anything.
Bird had a stroke.
Medic! We need a medic for a medic!
Vern is more thinking about the safety of his contact and realizing that was really unlike his contact to not be there, specifically when he was supposed to be that day, not because he's not at that place. It was like you had arranged to meet him that day and he wasn't there. So that's why he's preoccupied with that, and it was like, wait, what happened? So he's like totally not even in the conversation at this point. But I would say that Natea, you remember that there's actually a stable. You think you might have smelled one, if not seen a higher population of them, not far from Troll Skull Alley.
Yeah. Okay. I mentioned that.
Probably in this area here. I'm over by Troll Skull Alley right now on the map.
Okay. I just say, well, maybe we should head back that way anyway. We gotta go home soon, so maybe we go check out over there.
Sounds good.
Yeah, the drivers that you guys talked to didn't seem to be really that helpful. I mean, they kind of talked about a few small like places, but they more or less just like operate outside of the city or something like that, or some of them belong to certain areas that weren't really helpful. They're like really far edges or really hoity-toity neighborhoods, and you're like, this doesn't seem right. What the heck? You weren't quite getting the feeling. But there is one not far from Troll Skull Alley, and that's kind of like upper middle class neighborhood. but you figure it's also close to the home, so why not? Okay, so why don't you guys make a perception check and see if any of you can find it on the way back. For some of you, it might be a smell check. For others, it might be visible.
Well, I have the horde lock.
Vern, you did not see any elves.
Vern, all you can smell is burnt toast. Burnt toast and nothing else.
I'm pretty sure Vern's mind is still occupied about his informant.
All right, so
It's also a sign of a stroke.
I'd say
Sometimes.
smoke. You can clearly smell what smells like a stable. You guys are going down Delzorin Street down here on the way back, and you smell a stable north of that street. And Grifola, you see a couple drays are actually parked up here down on the high road, which is actually pretty busy. There's a lot of people like going up and down in drays that are currently actively being used. There's a couple that are parked up there at least.
I think we go this way.
All right, so you guys head up there. There's a couple drays that are parked indeed up there, and you're on the high road, basically right here. So Robin, if you'd move your character thing around.
Is there any kind of stable there?
Not at that point, no.
Guess we'll start heading that way, and examining, looking at the horses.
Okay.
This one looks like it might talk.
Hey, you never know. You never can tell.
Thinking about it, a talking cat talking to the horse wouldn't be as crazy as everyone else.
I bet if it can talk, it's wearing a hat.
Well, there's a couple.
I'm going to randomly cast Detect Magic on these trays.
Okay. And
now I have the badge. I may as well.
yeah, they don't glow or anything like that.
Okay. On the horses as well, just to make sure.
Right. I was assuming you were
Okay,
aiming at the
yeah.
horses.
All right.
Well, a horse and carriage, but either way, neither one of them do. You guys are up at the drays now. There's drivers at each, offering people, a ride if they need it, if they get close to the cart.
Hey, how close are we to the stables?
And one of them basically points behind the buildings. There is like this open space here. It's kind of like a little bit of a yard for some of the horses to be kept in, and the actual stable itself is going to be this building.
Hey, random driver. Any of them horses a little chatty?
And he kind of gives you a confused look.
I just shake my head and say, "It's been a long day, excuse him," and just kind of like, "Come on, let's go," and walk towards where the stable.
All right.
How many horses wear hats around here?
None of the horses are wearing hats, and you do come across like a little bit of an open area with kind of like a covered stable, and there's like some stalls inside and stuff. It's fairly open actually, but it is fenced in, and there are several horses in that area.
All right, time to hop the fence.
There are people working with them as well, cleaning out stables, feeding.
I'm just gonna go and kind of look around a little bit. If anybody asks, we're possibly looking to purchase a horse.
Of course. So, by the way, just so you know, the high road is probably the busiest road of the entire place and very heavily populated. Being just a little bit off the high road, it's still a lot of people coming through the area.
So I'm detecting magic on the horses' stables.
Okay, and any that you're able to reach, because it's a bigger area. Nothing that you're getting glows.
Are there any like stable hands?
Oh yeah, there are several working at this point. And Natea, you said you wanted to approach one of them and ask if any are for sale?
Yeah, why not? While they're looking around, I'll kind of maybe, kind of keep somebody's attention.
And you see some young hands that are currently there, just helping, and they're mostly just younger teenagers, and like, nah, I don't know of any of them that are for sale. I mean, these are just the horses get rotated out on a daily basis. They're usually left here to graze for one day and then come back the next. They go out on the street the following day. It helps keep them going for a while.
Any of these horses talk?
And the kid says, I don't know. I've never tried talking to him. And he just kind of looks like, that sounds interesting,
Well, that's rude. Animals like it when you talk to them.
And he looks at you and then just kind of like tries to not stare.
I'm looking at when Smoke is asking, do any of these horses talk? I'm actually looking at the horses, like to see if any of them go like.
They don't seem to really be bothered. Most of them are eating on the field, or they're in the stables themselves.
I say, what are their names? Are there any named Maxie?
And the kid says, well, and he just kind of looks a little bit uncomfortable at this point, like he's out of his depth. He's like, I could tell you the names, but you could why don't you just ask Mr. Anders over there? He could probably help you out better than I could, because I've got to finish this up before I get out of here, else I don't get my pay for the week. And he's like tossing hay as quick as possible.
I say, who is that guy?
He's the owner of the stables.
I say, how much do they pay you here?
He says, and he looks at you like he's worried that he's going to get mugged for a moment, and
I start pulling out like a coin purse, basically.
Oh, okay. And the kid goes, well, they told us I'm not supposed to discuss my wages to anybody.
I say, how about I put some money in my hand and you can go, yes, no. Or you can go higher or lower.
And the kid's just like kind of confused, but at the same time he's like,
and when we get to the right number, you get it. I'll give you the money.
Okay. All right.
I don't want to talk to that guy. I would much rather talk to you.
And the kid looks like really like, make an insight check. You can all make one if you want, because you're all pretty much there with this kid.
Yeah, that's about how good I am at that.
So the kid looks like he's okay.
Okay, I start putting I put a shard in my hand. Right? Shard
is like a silver piece, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. And the kid's eyes get really wide, and he's like, I
say.
And he's like, and he looks really brokenhearted and goes,
you know what? I don't care. They're not paying you that much, And I give him a shard, and I say, do you mind talking to us for a bit for
the
this?
Kid is really excited, Yeah.
And say, okay, we are looking for a specific horse.
Oh, okay. You're not going to steal it, are you?
No. We just want to talk to the horse, which I know. I know it sounds crazy.
We're not fully crazy.
Well, maybe, but we're completely harmless.
Okay. And he looks at Smoke and goes, okay.
Okay, he might not be.
I'm a little crazy.
Yeah. You kind of look at as well, especially with the look of your character portrait plus claws, teeth.
So we're looking.
So many knives.
They're not open.
you
We
saying?
just want to talk to this horse.
Okay.
Her name's Maxine.
Oh, that's the one that Mr. Anders is brushing right now.
Thank you. I feel like that's the best word I've ever spent.
That's the easiest thing so far.
Alright, well, who's gonna talk to this guy? Who's gonna talk to the
And the kid is just like, and he like tucks it down the front of his pants.
Oh, okay.
The prison pocket, son.
He doesn't have pockets.
No, the prison pocket.
Yeah, pretty much.
Explain it later.
You could tell this kid probably isn't from this area, and he's more worried about getting that money taken. So,
Gonna hide that uncomfortable hunk of metal.
oh, Christopher Walken gets right there. All right, so what you guys doing next there?
I guess we'll head over to the guy, and I will talk to the guy. I'll talk to the guy, tell him we're interested in maybe buying a horse or something of that sort, and you guys, I don't know, figure out a way to talk to this stupid horse.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess we start walking over.
As you guys approach, Mr. Anders is brushing the horse and having a full-on conversation with Maxine, or at least what you presume to be Maxine.
I just stop and I look at everybody. Well, this may go a little bit easier than. So just walk up and I'm like, hey, excuse me, sir.
And he turns around and says, "Oh yes, may I help you? Look, Maxine, we've
Yeah,
got
what's
visitors." And she just kind of like does a little bit of a with her head.
Mr. Anderson.
Oh, I was like, oh, that's a fine horse you have there. Yeah, she looks very special.
And she says, "See, I told you should get me some more oats. These people are wiser than you are." And she actually is, like the lips are moving and everything. And he says, "Oh, hush now. No need to be rude."
Okay, so that confirms one thing, that people know that the horse talks.
That's just weird, man.
And he says, "Oh, don't mind her. It's a gift that was given to her a long time ago."
I see. Oh, well.
Hmm.
I just look at everybody. I'm kind of like,
Wait,
I don't
can
know.
you give that to cats too?
He says, "It wasn't a gift that I was bestowed. Maxine, though, works for me, and I pay her wages and feed her on a regular basis."
Oh, I just say hi. I just kind of look and say, well, it's nice to meet you too, Maxine.
How does a horse buy things?
Do you say that out loud?
No.
Okay.
I kind of wish you would. Just saying.
So, I feel actually we've been running a little bit late. We should probably stop about here. This will give you guys, or at least most of you, because I know that Robin, I don't think you'll be here next week.
Nope.
An opportunity to come up with some questions. Robin, if you have any, obviously you can communicate that to the rest of the group and/or myself, and we'll play it through then. But I think we'll probably stop here now that you've found a talking horse by the name of Maxine in the city.
You somehow buy stuff.
One last question. The guy. Sorry.
Yeah.
One last question.
Mr. Anders.
Because I'm gonna forget. Mr. Anderson.
No,
Right?
Anders.
Mr. Anderson. That's right. Does he have any does he have any guild buttons or?
He's not entirely facing you, but if you spent some time like trying to case him a little bit, you could probably figure out if he has one, maybe.
Yeah, could I do that?
Okay. Make a perception check. Actually, no. Do you still have your detect magic going?
Yes, I would be I'm periodically pulsing it.
Okay. All right. So instead, make is a sleight of hand check in there, or is it just a stealth check now?
Well, I'm not particular. Oh, it's sleight of hand.
Yeah, to try and
Okay.
disguise it. That would do. So you're able to keep it somewhat on the down low, and he seems to have some kind of like handkerchief on him that appears to glow. He's actually dressed in like he's rather well dressed. Buttons up and down either breast. He's on the breast of his lapel. He's got shiny riding boots and everything like that. He's got like this cap and a crop on the side that looks more decoration than anything else.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you. So, magic handkerchief,
It would
Roger
appear
that.
so, yes.
Mr. Anderson.
So I think we'll, as I said, we'll end it there, and we'll continue on with the conversation with Maxine and see if you guys can find out information about Zentarum that you may or may not be working for, so that you can turn that information in to the Harpers. Anyway, I hope.
Hey, we need money.
Well, hey, yeah, you know, you got to do what you got to do, and none of them said anything about like attacking each other. They just need information, right? It's all good. Just get some gold.
Another thing I should have probably asked.
Maybe we can find out if it's one of the Harpers that's killing elves.
Things you should put in the quest log for next time. So
I'm trying to put some stuff in there now.
oh, good. Okay. So I will leave you guys for now. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, players. And thank you, everybody at the Dungeons & Dragons team for making this stuff possible. And we'll see you all next time. Let's drag this up here. Bye!
Bye.
Bye. I'm looking that way.